Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, April 15th, 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us here on this Sunday afternoon. I have Dr. Claudia Albers with us and also Terral from BlackStar. And Terrell is going to be going over a lot of his information that's going to be dealing with our upcoming earthquake season, as I will call it. Terrell did have great information over the last couple of years with these the earthquake forecasting, and I followed it very, very closely, folks. And I have to say, it was spot on. Terrell, how are you, my man?
Doing very good. Thank you for having me on a Sunday.
Absolutely. Dr. Albers, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you, Scott. And you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. All right, Terrell, I'm going to go ahead and flip the screen over to you and your screen sharing now. And you can go ahead and start with your information, because I always find everything that you say, your information, I find it very credible and very interesting. I pay very, very close attention to it. And all of our viewers today, folks, listen up very clearly, because the way things are going to change once again in May, this is going to be another turning point. I think things are going to be a little bit worse than they were last year, but let's listen to what Terrell has to say. Go ahead, Terrell. It's all yours, buddy.
Okay, thank you. First, a little history lesson. The Project BlackStar investigation began in January 2013. And with only 2 months of data, we were able to predict the this earthquake, this Fukushima earthquake right here. Okay, and then we were able to extrapolate once we discovered the 188-day cycle, which is a 378-day cycle actually, but it's cut in half, 188 days. Then from this Fukushima event right here, 188 days, then we were able to make this prediction on this Christchurch quake right here. Exactly, 188 days. You add another 188, you get Guerrero right here, which we missed by 2 days. But the interesting thing about Guerrero is the magnetopause reversal. See, this is 3/20/2012. On 3/12/2012, 8 days before, is when we had the big magnetopause reversal for 28 hours. The magnetosphere turned around to face the Leo constellation, which you can see right here that the Earth was between the Sun and the Leo constellation. Well, just a little bit to the left if you're standing on Earth right here. So using this data here, oh, not only that, the mystery Martian dust storm, March 12, 2012, you had dust plumes kicking off on the nighttime side of the red planet, same day. So you can Google my magnetopause reversal 2012 and the mystery Martian dust plume, and then you'll see that there's a connection that shows high-speed subatomic particle flows coming from the Leo constellation towards the Sun that turned Earth magnetosphere around for 28 hours. I'm sure the doctor will tell you that's impossible. That's impossible.
I remember that. I remember that very vividly.
Unless you have a source of subatomic particles outside of Earth orbit path and outside of Mars orbit path to create the pair of events that happened that both are puzzling. NASA was caught scrubbing this data.
Yep.
And then we put it back together. Suspicious observers had a lot to do with that. And then it was put back together. And then I wish I had that pulled up for you right now and I would show you. But then for using that information, so we continued to make predictions on the earthquakes that you were talking about. And you'll notice there's a 12-degree differential here. 12 days. That's because you add 365 and add 12 and a half days and you get your 188. So the black star, in order for this object to be on a long elliptical orbit and to create symmetry in this chart like this, it had to be slowing down. That's an important thing to realize. And this article right here shows how binary twins that have mismatched magnetic polarity can create a giant break. A giant break that slows down the stars. Thing is, our sun's bigger. So this is a classic example right here. 2 main sequence stars. Ours is a regular main sequence star, but the black star is a collapsed, invisible binary twin. It's a remnant body. So this body was much larger than the sun early in the formation of our solar system. It imploded. It created a remnant body, and that remnant body is what we're dealing with. That, in my view, that's what the Planet X movement is working to hide. This is not a planet. It is a star. To turn Earth magnetosphere around for 28 hours cannot be done by any planet. It must be a star involved in that. And it's not even direct radiation from the star. The reason that this happened was because of magnetic portal connection convergence. So as these magnetic portal connections get closer and closer together, then they're like unexposed electrical wires, and the lightning sprite formations form between them, and then they strike, and it creates these highly charged ionic clouds. These clouds are then given direction between the converging magnetic portal connections. So as Earth is swinging by, it's pulling a sun black star magnetic portal connection. Let's go over to this other program right here. You get a full page. So let's give you a little orientation here. You got Libra constellation here. We started tracking the black star when it was back here, just below the ecliptic plane. And now we've been tracking it as it's been moving left in the orbit diagram. We have an earthquake event every time Earth passes in between the two stars. And we're getting ready to do that again on May the 15th, right here. So the lines that you see behind the sun on the other diagram, that's whenever Earth passes behind the sun relative to the black star. The solar system harmonics comes in, and particularly with Jupiter and Saturn and everybody over here, and the black star, the Earth's over here, and it creates a line where the solar system harmonics is affected, and that causes earthquake activity inside of our planet, particularly affecting the deep magma plume formation that we're going to talk about here in a second. And then that deep magma plume formation, the reverberating magma waves that are being moved back and forth, that's what's changing the human resonance of our planet. All these things are connected together in the changes of what's going on. So the next time, the thing I wanted to show you was, let's just imagine for a second that this is the black star where Mars is. Now here comes Earth, and we're getting ready to come through. Now as we're coming through, we have a magnetic portal connection from the sun to the Earth that connects and disconnects every 8 minutes. Okay. Then we have another, I did not want to do that. I did not want to double click on that.
Okay.
Let me see here. Go back. Yeah, let's go back. Let's go back again. Here we go. Now, as the Earth, well, I can't use Mars because it's moving. The black star, as we pass between, we're pulling a magnetic portal connection between from the black star to the Earth and from the sun to the Earth through the magnetic portal connection that connects the sun and the black star.
Yes.
So what you have is a triangle. Whenever we're out here in this 90-degree position, then we're at outside orbit position when we have the minimum amount of activity. But when we pass between the two stars, that's whenever the magnetic portal connections get closer together. They start these strikes, these sprite formations, and then the highly charged ionic clouds push through Earth towards the sun. That's what caused the magnetopause reversal. That's what causes a true magnetopause reversal. And using that data, we were able to predict the magnetopause reversal of April 23rd, 2016 in pretty much the same way. Doesn't happen on every cycle. The environmental conditions have to be just right, but we're going to be watching for that 8 days before Guerrero, right here, 8 days before Guerrero is whenever the magnetopause reversal happened. Then in 2015, it was, I'm sorry, 2016, 7.0 Vanuatu right here. 5 days is before, on the 23rd, is whenever we had the magnetopause reversal. The difference between the 8 days and the 5 days is because the black star is in the nearer proximity.
I see.
Right? So we'll see if we're going to get the projections right now. We have an event coming on May the 15th, 2018, and then we have a crossing event coming on May the 20th, 2019. And let me tell you why I drew that conclusion. Now we know that the black star originated in Gemini. Let me pull up. We know
How
that
do you know that, Terral?
Because we're extrapolating from what we are observing. So so we know that it was in this position for the Chile quake, this position for Fukushima, Guerrero, to right on down the line, Nepal, and then so we have, and you see the 12-degree differential right there, but then we have a pivot point right here at the 7.8 Nepal. I'm 7.8 Nepal, 6. We have a pivot point right here. Now we have symmetry, perfect symmetry on this side until we get to right here. That is the 7.8 Nepal event. Now you see how you have smaller increments?
Yes.
That's
So
because
slow
of the
down.
magnetic repulsion relationship. The black star's been slowing down the whole time. But as it's getting closer and closer, the magnetic repulsion force grows by the cube of the closing distance. The gravitational pull grows by the square of the closing distance, while the magnetic repulsion is growing by the cube of the closing distance. So you're getting more repulsion than you're getting gravitational pull. So what has been extrapolated from that observable data through the magnetopause reversals, through the seismic pattern, near side and backside, is that we have perfect symmetry on this side, because from Gemini to Sagittarius, where it's going to reach perihelion, we know this thing's coming in on elliptical orbit. But whenever you average everything out, it's going to be a 90. It's going to be a 90-degree angle over here, right?
Yeah.
Now, all we have to do is find the pivot point, which appears to be right here. So this predicted date right here came way too early. This predicted date came too early. See, if we stayed with this 12-degree differential, the black star would have gotten here on May the 20th, 2017. But it started making these smaller moves because of the magnetic repulsion relationship. So that's why, because of the perfect symmetry I'm seeing right here, that's where these projections came from. It's possible.
So you basically have the orbit of this object, and therefore you have the orbital radius?
There are going to be unknowns there because of the magnetic repulsion relationship. So our sun and this black star have a unique relationship.
Yes.
There are things that we don't know about it. We don't know if the black star is an event horizon, if it's just sitting inside of a deep gravity well, it's going to behave more like a black hole, though, than any known celestial object. We ruled out black dwarfs, white dwarfs, the transitional dwarf family. The solar system is not old enough to support a black dwarf. And then the brown dwarf would be observable using infrared technology. But we feel that microlensing, the gravitational lensing effect, is perfected with this object. And so we're not going to be able to see it. And so there are things about it that we know, the things I'm sharing with you, and there are things about it that we don't know.
Okay.
Okay. But it's the symmetry, it's the math that is telling me that these are the dates. And if somebody else has a different conclusion based upon the evidence, then I would love to see that.
Yeah, you know that I myself figured out that the Earth was going between the sun and another object because I observed these reversals in the magnetosphere. So I have done, basic calculations that told me the same thing, that there was something that was affecting the sun, interacting with the sun. The Earth was going between.
Right.
And I was using that magnetic connection that you are talking about as well.
Right. The one discrepancy that we had, I saw your video on that. I've seen quite a few of your videos, and you were making a comment on the event from October 14th, 2016, if I remember right.
I'm not sure anymore, but yeah.
Right. I did a couple of videos. I actually did some research based upon what was being shared. It could not have been a true magnetopause reversal because we're on the back side of the sun relative to the black star. But what that led to was a research project to understand the moon and G2 solar storms, geomagnetic storms. So what happens is the moon, whenever it is 3 days before full, the high stream particles come from the sun. It energizes the moon entering Earth magnetosphere and creates eddies in Earth magnetosphere, and that is a magnetopause collapse. It will give all the symptoms of a reversal, but it's not a true reversal. It is a magnetosphere collapse. It happens. It has opportunity to happen 13 times per year with each full moon, 3 days before, and then the moon remains in Earth magnetosphere for about 6 days, 6 to 7 days. And so while the moon is energized from the high-speed solar streams, it causes these waves to come around the moon and swing into Earth magnetosphere. And so that's been identified. We even tracked it back using data going back in the 1950s, in the 1960s, where the same phenomena happened, geomagnetic storms, and it appeared that the magnetosphere was collapsing, and the readings from Earth they were able to tell that strange things were going on with Earth's magnetosphere at the same time. But we did identify the cause, though, and
Okay.
it definitely the moon in combination with the geomagnetic storms. In order for us to have a real magnetopause reversal, we have to be on this side of the solar system, the same side with the black star. So in 2012, it could happen here, 2013, 14, 15 in here. You see, then Libra, now we have the black star in right, just trying to get into the Scorpio constellation right now as we speak. And from what I can tell, it cannot take much longer, because in order for the black star, my feeling very strongly is that it's going to reach perihelion at Venus orbit path. If it's going to, and that's the reason for the reverse rotation. I know we disagree on that, but that's we're allowed to have our different views and disagree on things. I feel that Venus was always here, that it had a regular prograde, same direction as all the other planets, going around the sun, the same retrograde, on the same prograde rotation, orbital rotation, same as the Earth, Mars. But it's been messed with by the black stars, by the black star many, many times. It's in the wrong place at the wrong time about 40% of the time, where Earth is in the position for a geological pole shift only in 2 places in our orbit, in the spring, in the May position, in the November position of the solar system.
Okay.
Okay, so that's pretty much an overview on the.
So basically what you're saying is that on May 15th this year, we could have that pole shift?
No. Well, half of the physicists think that it's going to be 2018. They think that it's somewhere between the 18th and the 22nd that the black star, the Earth is going to move into position so that the black star is near enough to our planet to wrestle magnetic polarity control from the sun. Then the Earth would continue moving 66,000 miles per hour until it moved away from the black star. The sun recaptures magnetic polarity control of our planet to stand us back up for a second pole shift. Okay, I don't see that happen until 2019, May the 20th.
Okay.
So the people in the survival group programs are being advised to plan for a May 2018 event, to do your wargaming and everything just like it's real. And then if it is, you're in the right place at the right time. My view is that it's going to be in 2019. I believe we would see that silver popping, for example. There's going to be a more geopolitical activity. There's going to be more wargaming, which there's been a lot, like Cascadia Rising exercises, and which looks like they're trying to start World War III. I mean, that could be another topic. To me, that's the House of Rothschild installing another central bank. And Trump is just like Obama, in my mind. No different whatsoever. And Obama went in and killed Gaddafi for the same reason. And then now Trump is going to go in and take care of Syria for the House of Rothschild. And then once they get their central bank installed there, then they're going to head over to Iran. So I'm watching that environment that is not all the way played out. They're not to Iran yet. There's no time. So I see the House of Rothschild developing their underground Arc City program, like the underground Arc City in Denver. There are many others. This is a global thing. The Russians have underground Arc Cities. The Chinese, everybody's got them. They know it's coming. They do not want a world war. They cannot determine the full extent of black star related threats. They want to go underground, but they have people working right beside them, people in the military, people in the intelligence community, global military industrial complex that are not going to the underground Arc City programs. So those people are being oriented and trained for deployment into harm's way. So the people that are going to, the National Guard, for example, the military that are going to stand between us and our safe zone locations, they're not going to the underground Arc City programs. They have to be trained. That's what all these wargaming exercises are about, to keep them busy so they never wake up. I call them sleepers, because if they wake up, they're going to want a civil war. They're going to want their place in the underground Arc Cities, and that's really what the House of Rothschild, Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, Bilderbergs, that's what they don't want to do. And they're manipulating Trump, everything in Washington, D.C. That's why the CIA moved to Denver in 2005, because they're working with the Council on Foreign Relations working groups, manipulating Langley, the B team, and the White House from Denver. Denver is really the capital of Canamera, Mexico, this region of the New World Order, and it's been in operation. Well, it began in 1938 when they opened the charter there, and they built the underground arc city. Now they have the working groups there. They have their interstate for the corridor, the trade corridor from Canada, New Mexico. I'm sorry, Mexico and all that stuff. So anyway, we watched the geopolitical environment. Silver hasn't begun to pop yet, and we're now getting close to 30 days before the quote-unquote event. So there's no way that I can see that it's going to be 2018 based upon the evidence, all the evidence, geopolitical environment, where the black star is, the Earth changes, and everything like that.
Okay. Well, a lot of things can happen sometimes in 40 days, but so.
Well, you have to expect they're going to have a plan. There's going to be a fail-safe plan, and they're going to execute it. It's going to include the release of a contagion. It's going to roadblocks, quarantines. They're going to want to stop you from getting to your safe zones and from movement at all. The bank cards won't work. Power grids go down. This is the way that I see leading up to the elite running to the underground arc cities.
Okay.
And that's just not happening yet. But at least if I'm doing your threat assessment, that's how I see it. But maybe, you'll see things differently. And
well, I'm not expecting a pole shift. I don't even write about it. I just say that what's happening is a small incremental crustal displacement. That's what I have been talking about. So it's quite different from what you were saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you look in Scripture, 1 Thessalonians 5, start at 1, Paul says that the destruction is going to come suddenly, like the birth pangs upon a woman with child.
Yes.
I really believe that's the black star coming to start the day of the Lord. And then Christ describes how the sun turns dark, the earthquakes and all that stuff. That's when the black star comes at the end of the age. So the day of the Lord being in between. And so I'm a Bible scholar. My book, The Mystery Explained, you can see right here. This is on seeing God's wisdom hidden in plain sight. 515 pages, 80 color-coded diagrams. Your viewers can get an autographed numbered copy of that, or you can go to Barnes & Noble, Zillow Press, or Amazon.com and get that. So I'm a Bible student, let's say, and so a lot of my commentary is going to be scriptural based. But whenever in Zechariah that the earth is going to stagger like a drunkard, Paul talks about the sudden destruction. Christ talks about what happens at the end of the age. The days of Noah, the earth changes there. The days of Moses, there's a pattern here. People that before Noah lived to be 1,000 years old or more. After Noah, they lived to be 120. After Moses, they lived to be 70. The black star comes into the inner solar system and changes everything. So if you read Scripture, what's coming, people are going to live to be 1,000 years again, 1,000 years old again. A man that lives to be 100 is going to be like a child, it says. So putting the whole picture together scripturally and using the science, they're saying the exact same thing if both are interpreted properly. That's my ministry. That's my mission. That's my science project. And that's my perspective. So that's what I'm going to share with you guys. And the idea is to prepare for the worst case scenario. So we have a survival group program in the United States with over 250 families, 5 group options, 4 in the Ozarks, 1 along the Texas-New Mexico border. And your viewers, your listeners, they become part of that. Right down here, it's only $50 per year to be a member of the survival group program. A newsletter subscription to get, let me show you kind of what a newsletter looks like right here. This is the seismic chart information. This is a newsletter. This is the one that was just released. We go back 5 years and examine the seismic pattern. You notice that these dates are not the same, but it's all week 7 because the black star is moving left in the orbit diagram. So the new cycle begins at week 1 right here. And we know we've been able to identify the pattern doing this now for 7 years. We have the lowest, you see that 185, see how low it is? Try to find a lower one. We reach our minimum numbers out here at outside oil position. And then we go into the uptick period, and then we come to our near side alignment whenever, see the 5 magnitude earthquakes, how it popped up there? That's because we were between the 2 stars right there. Although 2017, is the first year we didn't reach a 7, it was only reached a 6.9.
Mm.
And the red values you see here, this is because this is something that's crazy. That shouldn't happen. Earth went 24 weeks without a 7 magnitude earthquake.
Wow.
24 weeks without a 7 magnitude earthquake, and we can show you why. Right up here. This is where it started. Up here. This backside alignment New Zealand quake, we picked to the day. It happened on November the 14th. Right? Now you see the 2 quakes you have? This was El Salvador. Then you have 8 weeks of where you had 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 magnitude, 7 magnitude earthquakes. 8-week period, 5. Now let's go to this year.
Okay.
The one that I was just showing you right here.
Uh-huh.
Show you here's the 2017 outside orbit position. Here's the backside alignment right here. We picked this to the day, New Caledonia, November the 19th. All we did was add 5 days to last year, and it worked. Now you have the Iranian quake. You have these 2 quakes right here at the backside alignment. The difference in this cycle is instead of pause for 1 week, we pause for 6 weeks.
Wow.
The reason we pause for 6 weeks, 30 days, right? Jupiter. Jupiter was 30 degrees further left in the orbit diagram, like we just saw in the solar system scope. Then we see the same 5 earthquakes.
Okay.
Over the 8-week period. Same pattern. You see it? And here, the final earthquake on this pattern right here, the final earthquake in this series, 7.9 Papua. See, now this is in the center of the origination zone that I was showing you before the show. Indonesia on one side, Fiji on the other, Papua New Guinea is right in the middle. Papua New Guinea, 7.9, was a seismic / tectonic reset that reset our planet. Now here's the same deal. That's a reset. In other words, all this energy goes out through these magma plume formations. We probably should talk more about that. But then those waves test the terminal ends and they return to the origination zone. Now, okay, so you have reverberating waves, and then when they come back to the origination zone, then they neutralize themselves. That's what happened with this 7.9 quake right here. Those waves reverberating back, but then the Earth didn't have. Earth has a 7 magnitude earthquake every 20 to 24 days, historically, 15 to 18 per year. To go 24 weeks, that hasn't happened before in my investigation.
So that was on January 22nd, right? That's 7.9.
7.9.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the 2017 Earth orbit cycle. So since it happened so far, it happened 3 weeks before we got the outside orbit position, we reached our low number. But whenever you come down here, then you're going to see a dip. I'm on the wrong chart here. Here we go. You're going to see a difference because Jupiter, I believe the solar system harmonics is what caused it. We cannot draw definitive conclusions, but that's the way it looks. Then we have these series of earthquake events until we get a 7.5 Papua quake. Almost the same exact location as the last year. The end of a group of 5 7 magnitude earthquakes that followed these 2, but the difference is that 6-week delay right there. But since we were outside orbit position, you see we didn't get down to our 185 like we should. But this is the reason why. Because the energy in the deep magma plume formation, we haven't helped your listeners to, not this one. No, I closed it. Here we go. Or I opened it up in a different window. I want to show your, see, this is the magma plume formation right here. If I make it bigger, I don't know how much RAM I have. It might take
just expand your screen. Make your screen full screen.
Yeah, but this picture gets bigger. Yeah, here we go. It's just I have a lot of RAM. Okay, so this is right here is a buoyancy barrier corridor. The origination zone's on the other side of the planet. And so these deep earthquake events right here, these are in Earth mantle transition zone. Look how many we've had in the last 7 days. That's almost 1 per day.
Wow. Yeah.
That causes down there in that South Pacific region, a lot of deep earthquakes down there. A lot.
Whoa. This is kind of new. This is part of the new dynamic down here. I'm going to want to take a look at that later. But we've had 6 deep earthquake events like these underneath South America in the last 30 days. Now, what that does, it adds energy to buoyancy barrier corridor number 2, the one I was just showing you right here. This is the elbow position. The terminal end of that magma plume formation is up in this area, and we know that by the series of 5 magnitude earthquakes at the 10-kilometer depth. You get them here. That one's surprising me that it's at 40. And you get them up in the Cascadia Basin whenever this terminal end is tested. It looks like we had one over here on the Indonesia side, 516. So this adds energy. We're able to predict the new volcanic eruptions and the earthquakes by identifying the deep magma plume formation and these deep earthquake events that become the new trigger. And what triggers the earthquakes are these magma horn formations. This is where a 5 magnitude earthquake is going to pop up whenever you get deep earthquake events in Fiji or under South America, and the energy courses through these buoyancy barrier corridors until the energy reaches the terminal end. Now, this terminal end is being pushed further and further north. If you could see the other side, the terminal end of deep magma plume arm number 1 is being pushed under Cascadia and is pushing south. What you have right here is a convergence area of the United States where this magma plume formation and the other magma plume formation converge until we get enough deep earthquake events until they push together and break the buoyancy barriers. When they break the buoyancy barriers, it's going to be in this region right here. You're going to get rising magma that is glassy type and is going to expand all the way to the surface, displace the heavier rock that supports Earth crust, and cause massive crustal displacement. If you look at the scalene maps of the future, Navy maps of the future, this is the scenario I'm telling you right now that's going to cause that to happen. And we've identified the pattern. These earthquakes right here, the origination zone final earthquake, Papua, 7.5 this year. Now we're going to count the number of weeks that we have no 7s. We should have one every 20 to 24 days. But because of the deep magma plume new trigger, then what we're seeing is a tectonic reset at the end of each black star orbit cycle. So the black star is playing a role in these deep earthquake events. Exactly how that is transpiring, it's going to have to do with solar system harmonics. It's going to have to do with the glassy type nature of the magma that is in the Earth mantle transition zone, metal below 660 kilometers, rock on top, glass in the middle. So whenever you get this sudden gigantic boom, then you get a sphere that's created, and somehow or another, this sphere is capturing solar electromagnetism, like you're talking about in your recent video, and the internal electromagnetism through the magnetic portal connections, through the sun magnetic portal connection to the Earth and the black star to the Earth. It's somehow the directionality of electromagnetic waves are using these spheres as a cone or as a dish, like your dish TV, your satellite dish. It's capturing and creating a epicenter for the next earthquake. That's why these earthquakes are happening in the same places, in the inside of Earth mantle transition zone, one after another, and it's causing this magma plume to grow. 2 years ago, it was Pacific Ocean Ring of Fire. Now it's global. It's a global phenomenon. It's taking over the whole planet.
Terral, is this connected to the Yellowstone magma chamber?
Absolutely.
Well,
that's why you're seeing more news out of this area. So whenever this investigation started, this quakes form area right here was a Baja California quakes form area. None of this existed. Now, since 2013, February 6th, tectonic plate broke Solomon Island, right over here. That created extra space in the network. Now, these tectonic plates are moving in this direction in slow motion, tectonic cascade in slow motion, and that created this new line of earthquakes. If you Google Russian warning grim report, it came out, I believe, May 2014. The reason that it came out is because of Solomon Island and the tectonic cascade. These fault lines only have to open up millimeters in order for the radiation to be seen from satellites in space. So in other words, a new magnetic signature was created for the United States after Solomon Island. Not only that, this quakes form area right here had very few 3 magnitude and above earthquakes before 2013. After 2013, once this tectonic cascade began, this is on the North American craton right here. It's on the foot formation that comes down. Tectonic and volcanic pressures are shifting from Indonesia through the Americas, and this foot formation is bearing the weight of it right here. So whenever we get between the two stars, the average depth of these earthquakes goes to 14 and 15 kilometers deep. They shallow up when we get to outside orbit position, and then they go deep again. That's the pattern that we've noticed here. So now that the 3 and above earthquakes here, the number compared to before 2013, it's going straight up like that. There's more activity over here that I'm kind of wondering about. This area here tried to disappear, this quake storm area of Jamaica. And so we are asking about this magma plume. There's more and more stories coming out about magma plume. Everybody should Google magma plume to see what's coming out new, because the scientists are recognizing it more and more as the new trigger. And you heard about the story of the Gulf of Mexico warming up to be really, really hot in this area. 3 new volcanic eruptions in Grenada. I've been doing this for years, and I've never reported on a new volcanic eruption in the Caribbean until recently. 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, exactly. I've been watching it.
Right? And you can see by this change, there's a change in the dynamic. What's going on? A shift in the tectonic dynamic. And magma plume activity is now extending under this area more and more and more. So as this corridor is getting longer, as these diameters grow in width from increased pressure, they also want to grow longer. So that mass that I showed you, I was describing it to the doctor as a ureter inside the body because I have a medical background. Okay, so it's pushing over towards this area more and more. 6 deep earthquake events here, and they happen right on top of each other in pairs, by the way. Now you've got more energy being pushed up to test the terminal end of buoyancy barrier quarter number 2. This should be at a 10-kilometer depth. I'm really surprised that took place that shallow, but generally you're going to see 5 magnitude earthquakes at the 10-kilometer depth. That is a signal that it's been pushed from below from a magma plume horn. I mean, we've had 7 magnitude earthquakes down here with no precursor quakes at all. That was 2 years ago because they were magma plume release. That was the trigger directly underneath. It wasn't a slip strike type of event. It was pressure was built up, yes, but the trigger came from underneath. So you get no pre-shocks whenever you have that type of activity. So now the magma plume, not only do you have these terminal ends coming together, but as these terminal ends of this magma plume formation are tested, then they leak. That leaking from these primary, this is glassy type magma, remember? And as the buoyancy barriers break, I mean, it's not a total break, but it's leaking, then you get suspended magma plumes. We have a magma plume in my circle here. If you Google it, it'll look like a giant kangaroo underneath it. That is 300 kilometers deep. That is what's going to help in the destruction once you get the primary break out here. And then this entire region is going to rise, and then break and then collapse, because what's going to be supporting it is glassy type magma. So there's no safe zones west of the Rocky Mountain Ridge because of what's going to happen out here. Pyroclastic flows, glassy type material flying around, one breath, and
so you're saying it's likely that Yellowstone will erupt?
Absolutely, Yellowstone is going to erupt.
And if Yellowstone erupts and it's as large as it was the last time, basically you can destroy all life on Earth.
That's right, except for the Pacific Ocean is going to rush in and put the fire out. You're going to get a sudden drop whenever you get the breach. Everything rises, you get the breach, then everything collapses. Pacific Ocean, and it's going to make some pyroclastic damage. Glassy type material is going to be thrown around. That's why we use cavern formations in the Ozarks, so we can be underground in case we get a dusting from what's over there. I prefer Arkansas rather than Missouri because it's further south. But even the regional calderas, even the dormant volcanoes that are out here, they're going to be affected by the glassy type magma. The entire region is going to be affected when these buoyancy barriers collapse. That's why they did the Cascadia Rising exercises. Jade Helm 15 was based out of Texas, and it extended over into the Western United States did not go into California because they do not expect any of California to remain after this is over. Texas is in a safe zone. If you look at my safe zone map in the United States, you'll see that it's shaped just like this. It's not very big, and there's no safe zones east of the Mississippi River Basin. This is all going to liquefy because once this is kicked off out here, the energy is going to come through the carbon. Google carbon blob. It's going to go through the carbon blob, transferred over to New Madrid. That is going to kick off. Then you're going to have a new line of seismic activity running up and down the Mississippi River Basin. That's going to liquefy the entire Mississippi River Basin to fulfill the scaling map of the Navy maps of the future. And you have 200 nuclear power plants over here. You don't want to be over here.
Yeah,
you don't want to be cut off from the North American craton.
What worries me the most, Terral, is the volcanic ash that will get into the atmosphere. And that would be enough to cause winter to such an extent that photosynthesis would stop.
The fire will be put out before it reaches that point.
You think so? Okay.
Well, that's according to the map. Yeah, I mean, I can pull it up. You've seen the Scallion map of the future.
Yeah.
The Navy map of the future, and it's filled with salt water.
Terral, just let me, I want to clarify a few things for all of our folks listening. You know, I want to identify these hot zones. So these hot zones, as I'll refer to them, we're looking at pretty much the entire Pacific west coast of the United States, Mexico, Central America, and most of South America. These are the zones that will be pretty much mostly affected.
What we're talking about here is deep magma plume related, what's going on inside of our planet. We haven't even talked about the fact that the black star tips the Earth over. And then the sun captures magnetic polarity control to stand us back up again. So the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour. The Earth gets tipped over, so the water follows the laws of gravity, but Earth crust is embedded with Earth metals. So the Earth crust is going to follow the laws of magnetism, being repelled by the black star for the North Pole to be repelled. That's what causes the geological pole shift. And
so there's still very, very, very high possibilities of this pole shift, but the Earth will reset based on, you know, what you've researched, what you're coming up with.
The Earth is going to right. Yeah, the North Pole is going to wind up being the North Pole because of the way that the metals are scattered throughout our planet. That's the reason that most of the magnetite in the world is in the northern hemisphere. So that's the reason that the sun has magnetic polarity control of our planet, and that's the reason that we stand up this way, tipping back and forth 23.5 degrees because of the concentration of metals in the northern hemisphere. So after the two geological pole shifts, the Earth is expected to stand just up again, just like it is now. Now, if there's a gigantic change in the interior of our planet, as far as where the iron is placed and all that, it's possible that we could be a little bit different. It's possible, but I don't see it happening that way. Other researchers do, but I see us standing up because of the way that the metals are distributed in our planet. I see us standing up in the same way. But the object of survival is to identify the threats, create the contingency plans, and execute them on time. So whether it's pyroclastic flows, whether it's ocean waters creeping on the land, then you have to get out of the way. So there are no safe zones out here. There are no safe zones in the United States over here either. You have to be on the North American craton where we have our survival group programs. Well, 4 out of the 5 are in the North American craton. One's along the Texas-New Mexico border. But I highly recommend your listeners get involved with the survival group program. It's only $4 a month. And a newsletter subscription to have access to my weekly reports, my newsletters. You get a radio show link with each newsletter. You get 2 video update reports with each newsletter, like the one that I just showed you there. That's only $2 a month. It's only $25 per year.
Okay.
And then you can write me anytime, and your questions go into the newsletters and to help other people. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Terral, but where did you say there was a safe place in the United States? Texas, you said.
Yes.
We could the northern part of Texas, wouldn't it be?
Well, I can show you. Well, it's not along the coast.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Certainly not.
There are no safe zones. No. Well, you can even see on the. You see this line right here? This is low elevation, and this is higher elevation. This is where the safe zone begins right here. The survival group that we have here is along the Texas-New Mexico border. But there are other considerations. You're also going to want to network with other survival groups. You're going to want to be in a survival group that has strong medical contingent, military contingent. You want your people safe. You want them to have the equipment and things like that. That's why digging a hole in your backyard is never going to work. Because even if you survived and you come outside, you're going to have to deal with Mad Max all by yourself. You need to work within a strong survival group with a military contingent that's working in combination with other groups in the area so that you can share resources. Very, very important. So that's going to be, I mean, like John Moore says, the Ozarks. That's where lots of survival groups are. That's where most of my survival groups are. The elite bunkers are there. Yes, there are 2 nuclear power plants there, but they're on the North American craton. They're not out here on this thin crust.
You know,
we expect the elite are going to use those for power, and we plan on doing the same thing.
You know, they're just, you mentioned the nuclear power plants, and a few weeks ago here in the Pittsburgh area, for the first time, it really, really sparked my interest, was listening to the local news, and all of a sudden, a news report came on that the 3 Mile Island nuclear reactor was set to be in the shutdown process for the first time, I think, in 35 or 40 years. That kind of startled me, you know,
that's
because
the kind of stories that we're looking for.
Exactly. You know, and that 3 Mile Island nuclear reactor facility, you know, I mean, it's one of the oldest nuclear reactor facilities on the East Coast. Many years ago, when I was a kid, there was a close to a meltdown there, but they got it under control. Nothing bad really happened. But now, you know, whenever they come out and they say, okay, we're beginning the cool off phase, we are shutting down this nuclear reactor facility for good. And that totally blew my mind. You know, I mean, my heart started racing whenever I heard that full report on the shutdown of this nuclear facility. And that's, you know, that's right here on the East Coast, right, you know, not too far out of the city limits of Pittsburgh.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize when I refreshed that. I don't want that noise on here. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, those are kind of, maybe it's just worn out. I haven't seen that story.
Yeah, I mean, the facility, I mean, my uncle actually worked there for several years on different projects, because he worked for Westinghouse, and he worked for a part of Westinghouse where they worked with these nuclear reactors, something to do with the inside of these stacks or something like that. But I had a question for you. You know, we talked a lot about the West Coast of the United States and South America. How do you see Europe going through all of this? Where do you think they're going to end up?
Europe, it's been slow lately. Europeans have been slower to wake up lately, but there is a group there, Jose's group in Spain. The similar situation with the gigantic supervolcano that they have under Germany, you don't hear a lot about, and Italy, and the volcanic activity under France. You were now getting more activity along corridor number 3. That's what this is right here. And this entire region up here is expected to be gone. So I've done quite a few threat assessments for Europeans. None want to go to Turkey. None I've ever met before. Their safe zone is on the 2,000-foot high plateau right here in Spain. I used to live right here in London back in the 1980s. I'm very familiar with this area. I vacationed here in Spain. Okay. And this plateau right here is going to be where civilization, the Pyrenees right here, your cavern location is going to be up here in the Pyrenees, unless you can work with Jose and you guys can work something out down near Madrid. But you do not want to be on the other side of the Pyrenees Mountains, because you don't have to fight through the mountain range once you realize what the world has gone through. You're going to want to be grilled. You want to on the Spain side, not too high, not too low. You're going to be around 2,000 to 2,500 feet in a good solid cavern formation with a survival group, internal water source and things like that. And then the people are going to reemerge out into this area right here. This is like the North American craton for Europeans over here on this side.
Mm.
So I hope to hear more and to help Jose's group grow stronger. And we have a group in Canada also, Dave's group in Canada. There are no safe zones in Canada in this circle. There are none. Pyroclastic flow is going to destroy everything. The nuclear problem over for this side. But there is, for Canadians, hiding. You can hide from the pyroclastic flows behind the mountain ridge between Alberta and the mountain range right there. That's where Dave's survival group is. If you're in Canada and you want to join Dave's group, then that's who I will be hooking you up with over there. We also have survival groups in New Zealand and in Australia. Australia is way too low, way too flat. I've got a safe zone map for Australia too. If you're in Australia, you're an Aussie, you want to join the group there. There's last I heard, there was one of the group members owns a good amount of land, and there's more options for Aussies, but there are very few safe zone locations in Australia.
Mm.
Very, very few. In the South Island down here, then in New Zealand, we have a survival group program, pardon me, going on there too. There's even a lady that has a group in Sweden.
Mm.
And I thought she was going to Spain. She says, oh, she's got it figured out. She has a group that's forming up in that area. Then we have a group also forming in India. Or if anybody of your listeners is interested in connecting with people already in the program there.
Mm.
Go ahead.
What do you think about the continent of Africa? I see that.
Well, the magma plume activity is affecting more and more. You notice that I'm seeing new activity just since I'm on the radio show with you guys on this in this interview. This is more of this magma plume activity that was more out here on this side that's now shifting more into the Caribbean. You can see it.
Mm.
This is the horns. This is the horn formations. This is magma plume formation from all these deep hits and all these underneath South America here. This is where the energy is going right here. But then Africa, that I've never done a threat assessment. Oh, yes, I have. 2 for members in Egypt. But it doesn't look good for Africa.
Mm-hmm.
The volcanism, where whenever the Earth does this magma plume formation, whenever it does erupt, it appears as if the continent is going to be cut in 2. That's what it appears like. That's what similar to the United States. What's going to happen is what they say that's going to happen here. But I'm obviously living here.
I wrote an article recently about Africa breaking up, and it seems to be happening quite fast right now.
Because activity, I'm not looking at activity along quarter number 4 yet, but there's been so much deep magma plume activity here recently. There's been a lot of strikes right here in the circle right here. That's an indication to me that the energy. Let me back up just a little bit. Usually I have them get pounded on the Indonesia side with these deep earthquakes like we are in Fiji. See where we're getting Fiji? It was hitting Indonesia harder than Fiji earlier on in the cycle, and we had a lot more activity going this way. But then this activity slowed down, and recently this activity picked up again. I go, wait a minute, where's the energy coming from? It's not coming from Indonesia. Come to find out, it's coming from over here, magma plume arm number 2. As we've got these deep strikes over here, Africa was being affected. So this is becoming more of a global phenomenon where I had a good handle on where everything was. I could still see it by using these earthquakes that are at the 10-kilometer depth. But this here really surprised me. And after doing hours and hours of research, then I realized the energy is coming from the other side of the planet. Not even from Indonesia this way. It's coming from Fiji all the way around and affecting from this way. So it doesn't look good for Africa, but it really doesn't look good for any place in the world. The best safe zone place that I know of is going to be in the Northern Hemisphere, definitely. If you think about it, when we get a shift and the North Pole is tipped away from the black star, the Southern Hemisphere is what's going to get exposed, get direct exposure. The black star is between us and the sun. So we have the sun and the black star on the same side. Earth magnetosphere fluctuating. The Southern Hemisphere is going to be looking like, this is going to be looking at the sun and the black star as the magnetosphere is blinking. This is Southern Hemisphere, not good. But that protects the Northern Hemisphere from the most damaging part. When the black star is close, then the North Pole gets repelled. So as the black star comes by, it's like the Earth is a spinning top, and the the North Pole is actually going to be facing away from the black star the whole time. That's the reason that it stays night, is because this side of the sun is staying day, but the Earth is still turning. You see what I mean?
Well, that definitely puts a chink in the chain for all the governments that are down there in the Antarctica.
Right. But the best safe zone location that I know of in the Northern Hemisphere is in the Ozarks. It's because of its remote location, because it's on the North American Craton, plenty of water resources, thousands and thousands of caverns, places where you can go underground, places where wildlife can get out from the exposure. And so you put the combination together, you build your strong survival group there, and you make strong defenses for your property and for your cavern position, and then you're able to deal with Mad Max later in the timeline.
Yeah, the Ozarks is beautiful. I mean, regardless of our situation, the Ozarks is a beautiful, beautiful place.
It's beautiful and it can be deadly.
Yeah,
but that's one of the reasons I lived there. I lived there for a couple of years, getting ready for the survival group program. I got Lyme disease. I got chigger infestation. I mean, the place can kill you. Literally, it can kill you. So there are things that you're going to need to know whenever you change from your office and your apartment environment in the city and you're going into the Ozarks. That's one of the reasons that this is not the type of thing you want to do by yourself, just to be in the right place at the right time. You want to join Rebecca's group. She's the primary survival group landowner and leader, and she puts articles in the newsletter every week, and she has members. They're highly skilled. They're familiar with the region, and they can train you in handguns. Clint is a member there. He writes for the newsletter too, and he's been hooking up people with firearms for most of his life. So there's people that have their strengths, their talents, their the doctor crew, the military crew. Join the group, find out where you fit in, let them help you get your bug out plan ready, your bug out bag ready, your bug out location information, so that whenever, whether it's the black star, whether it's collapsing economy, collapsing power grids, no matter what it is, World War III, then you have a connection and you have a plan. I'm not trying to scare, fearmonger, or anything like that, but I do see problems coming, and you need to have a plan. And the survival group leadership has a plan for you, and it's very, very easy to hook up. Just subscribe at the website. Use PayPal. If you don't want to use PayPal, you can write me. My contact information is right there, Terral at terral03.com. Give you different payment options. And like I say, it's not a monthly thing. It's a yearly thing. It's only $50 per year. And then you can know what your options are by this time tomorrow. After you talk to Rebecca or the other group leaders, Linda or Chris, his group, Ken, his group, whoever you decide that you want to work with. And then get yourself a survival strategy. Begin working on that. And then I would recommend that people, firearms, firearm safety, things like that. It's spring, plant your first garden, help somebody plant their garden or do something, interact with nature, get a fishing boat. That's what I did recently, even though I haven't been too busy to fish in it, but interacting with nature, catching your own food, things like that. Get your survival seeds. Let Rebecca and the group help you with developing good lists of things that you need. And then you can be good to go. You can go back to live your normal life. And then I'm providing your threat assessment and contingency planning information. So I'm telling you when to be at the right place at the right time, which for 2018 is going to be in the month of May.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem nowadays. A lot of people just really aren't in tune with nature. If you drop them out in the middle of some forest or some jungle, even for just a couple of days, they're not going to be able to survive. People don't know how to fish. People don't know how to hunt. They don't know how to take care of themselves. And, we'll have the people out there that will say, oh, you're just fear mongering, blah, 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 blah. Well,
right.
You know what? In my personal opinion, you can call it whatever you want, but I think the fear needs to be inside of everyone, because that fear can initially motivate you to continue to do your own research, stay up to date with the information that's being provided, like what Terral provides and some other people out there on YouTube and the internet. And it's great and valuable information, because I'm telling you right now, folks, we don't know exactly when. I wish we did have that crystal ball because then we could actually all be prepared. But in the time from now and then, you know, this is the good time to get everything in order. You know, have that bug out bag. I mean, I have a bin that fits in my car. It's a pretty big bin. I have everything packed in there that I will need for an emergency. I call it like an emergency extraction. Me extracting myself from my area ASAP. I could put that bin in the trunk of my car in 2 seconds, close the trunk lid, and I'm gone. I have everything that I need in there for at least 14 days. After that, I got to survive some way, somehow. So I think that's a great and a valid point. It's not fear, folks. It's not fear mongering. It's preparation. I think more and more people need to start preparing small things, you know, and you may get yourself caught in a situation one day soon. We don't really exactly know, but if you're not prepared, you will be a statistic. That's my opinion. You will be a statistic. You will not survive.
And many people don't realize, it's not, for example, whenever you kill the stomach flora, people that survive the pole shift, people that survive Mad Max, half of those people are going to die from drinking bad water and eating bad food.
Yep.
They do not know how to rebuild the stomach flora. They're supported by our society. They go down to Walmart, you know, and they get you need to have the acidophilus type pills. And it's a good idea to know how to grow your foods to replace it. Because whenever you kill the stomach flora, nobody gets nutrition from food. The bacteria breaks it down for you. You kill the bacteria, you're done.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen to people. And the importance of hydration. I mean, people don't realize it. When they get out of their comfort zone, they get out in the woods, they're trying to get something done, they get cut off from their water. Lots of people die that way.
Yep.
They go into shock. Their body goes into shock. They cannot respond. They cannot save themselves. So joining a strong group, very important, because they're going to give you this background type of information that you're just not going to get by yourself.
I noticed that you have the Berkeley gravity-fed water purification system. We actually have one of those. Dr. Albers was a big fan of the Berkeley water purification system, non-mechanical. I think it's one of the best mobile water purification systems out there. It's not heavy. It's, you know, it's what, maybe 20, 22 inches high, and it can stand on your countertop, and you can fill it with, you know, stream water, lake water, and let it purify. Dr. Albers, you know quite a bit about that water purification system. If you want.
I've been using the Berkey for many years. I had one in South Africa, so I got one when I got to here in the United States as well.
Yeah, it
works very well. You can put any water in it, and it filters it, and it's clean water, and you don't need any electricity or anything for it.
You're going to want to have.
They're not very expensive either, folks.
I don't want to have multiple ways of the water purify. Part of your rig, my opinion, pool shock. You should have pool shock, and it should be sealed, because bleach, you can use bleach to purify water, but it's only going to be good for 6 months. Bleach is going to go bad in 6 months. The water you purify is only going to be 6 months. If you have pool shock, then you can measure yourself out, just a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, and you can purify 100 gallons of water.
Okay, so
that's another means. My primary is actually military. It's a crank water purifier with a rock on the end. You throw it over and that's my primary, but you should have backup means. And at the end, you use a 5-gallon pail and you fill it with gravel and sand. You know, but you have a means, or then you're going to boil it. You have to be in the mindset, in my opinion, you identify threats, and then you have multiple countermeasures, multiple. So maybe my survival group program, I believe everybody should be part of it, but don't make that your only option. And not just one group leader. You might want to talk to multiples. You want to talk to some of my people, talk to your own, build your own survival group, but use us as a resource. Give yourself as many options as possible, so that when the crap hits the fan, you have option A, option B, option C.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
That's what you're going to want to do. People that live through what's going to happen are going to be the kings of the time that's coming. And those are the people that are preparing right now. They're identifying the threats, and they're creating contingencies, and they're executing them on time. The same as every military on Earth, the tripod system. I highly recommend that your listeners and your viewers, that you at least be leaning in that direction. See, the newsletter, if you just want a newsletter program, then that's only $25 per year, $2 per month. And you don't have to join the Survivor Group program. But when you get ready to join, then there's an upgrade button here. You don't have to subscribe for $50. You already have, see, this $50 includes a newsletter subscription. All you have to do is click the upgrade button whenever you're ready to join it. And then you'll be requesting your threat assessment information. You're going to get your survival group information. You must give me written permission to share your first name, your email address, and your home state with members that are in the group. But that's all that I'm going to share with them. Mm-hmm. Save your history, your professional history, all that, your doctor, whatever. Save that for the group leader that you're going to be working with. And if anybody has any questions about the benefits, just click on this video right here. It's like 40 minutes long to explain these different buttons and how you do your threat assessment, and just makes it really easy.
You know, Terral, I wanted to see if you could touch on a lot of people talking about the grand solar minimum that we're moving into, or that we are in. Okay. Do you think this grand solar minimum, do you think this is also going to play into everything that is happening now? Do you think this is going to be even a bigger threat?
Number one, the sun is not going into a grand minimum. That's what a lot of people are saying, but that's not what's happening. That's what it appears to be happening. The black star is connected to our sun through a magnetic portal connection. While it's in the inner solar system, it is gathering all of the electromagnetic energy it needs for its entire cycle as it's coming in. So the solar output is down 1%. The heliosphere has shrunk. That protects our solar system, like the magnetosphere. It's shrunk over 10% and over 25% in just a decade. But that's not because of a solar minimum. Those numbers came out when the sun was going into solar maximum. The black star is siphoning the energy. It's redirecting the energy through a second set of magnetic portal connections. The hottest years in recorded history are 2015, 2016, and 2017.
Yeah, correct.
Right? We're not going into a grand minimum, and we're not going into a mini ice age or anything like that. Those are the symptoms from this black star coming to the inner solar system. After we go through the pole shift, after it leaves the inner solar system, the black star will break magnetic portal connection with our planet, and that's going to happen in 12 years or so after the events. And then we're going to have a singular source of electromagnetism again, the sun, and then the sun will not be strained. Here's the thing to realize. As the black star gets closer to the sun, the magnetic portal connection between the black star and the sun conducts much higher amounts of electromagnetism. Two kinds of internal conduits. The very inside is active conduits. The outside that provides insulation are the passive conduits. So as the black star gets closer and the magnetic portal connection disconnects and then it reconnects, a higher percentage of those internal conduits become active. That gives more electromagnetic potential to the black star. It's able to siphon more energy from the sun and make it appear to be going weaker and weaker. But that whole process is going to reverse. So the strange weather phenomenon that's going around the planet began when the black star made magnetic portal connection in the early 2000s. It depleted the northern ice sheets because of the metal concentrations. The electromagnetic energy was being translated to heat through induction. Mm-hmm. It melted the northern ice sheets, reduced polar drip, killed the ocean conveyor. Then the Earth began maintaining equilibrium using the polar vortex phenomenon in 2012. Strange weather everywhere. After that, mixing of the northern and southern hemisphere air masses, which is strange, but all kinds of strange things are happening at the same time as the magnetopause reversals that we're talking about. You see this seismic pattern going on, all this strange stuff. The uptick in the reports of fireballs in the sky is now over 5,000 per year, and it was under 500 per year back in 2005, because there is a pinball effect because of the intruder from space. So any one of these things wouldn't be that big a deal, but they're all happening at the same time. symptoms that the black star is coming. So I don't buy the grand minimum thing any more than I buy the fracking causes the earthquakes in the Oklahoma quake swarm area.
No, I don't buy that either. I was in the fracking industry for 5 years here in Pennsylvania. I was highly trained. I worked for some of the biggest companies in the world, you know, Halliburton and Chesapeake. I've been involved in it, and I just don't see that happening at all. Period. You know, we've had a few, you know, small quakes up here in the Northeast that were kind of odd. You know, New Hampshire, Vermont, West Virginia, Ohio. You know, over the last couple of months,
Mm-hmm.
you know, kind of odd. You know, that you really wouldn't expect to see something like that happening. But I think eventually, you know, we may possibly see stronger quakes, you know, in the Northeast.
Google magma plume, New England, because you guys are being affected from the magma plume activity, just like Yellowstone, just like the Caribbean, just like what's going on right out here. See these quakes at the 10-kilometer depth? This is magma plume related. It's the global phenomenon. It's affecting you guys more and more. That's up here. But my point is, I've watched these quakes, been doing this now for the last 7 years. They will average over a 7-day period more than 14 kilometers some weeks. And then they rise up again. Now there looks like it's about a 5 average. But the deepest fracking well that they're going to drill down about 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers maximum. Then they're going to, as you know, they're going to drill horizontally. Nobody goes beyond about 2 kilometers deep. Most of them are only 1.25 kilometers, 1.5 kilometers. How do you create with crisscrossing substrata in the North American craton? How are you going to produce an earthquake of 14 kilometers deep from pricking the earth at 1 kilometer deep?
Yeah,
you can't do it. It's impossible. I mean, it
yeah,
sounds like a good excuse.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Fracking going on all over the country, and
Yeah.
the idea that it's going to be limited to this area. This jumped big time after 2013. You know, like I said, but this proliferation there, it's right here. This is not going to have anything to do with fracking either. So, I mean, I love Dutch Sense to death. He does probably the best job of covering globally the earthquakes and everything. We just disagree on the fracking.
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, it's a coincidence that these fracking operations are littered across the country. But like I said, you know, I was involved heavily into the fracking industry here in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia. I've been on well sites, hundreds and hundreds of them, very, very deep wells, and, you know, never, ever any type of occurrence. I've talked with many of the geologists, you know, in the utility trailer where everything is controlled. Very highly sophisticated equipment that's used in the fracking industry. And, you know, I mean, I'll be honest, I just don't see it. You know, even the amounts of pressurized water and solutions that are pumped into the ground, you know, I just don't see it. But what I do see, you know, I do see, like here in Pennsylvania, in my neck of the woods in southwestern Pennsylvania, this year already, just in 4 months, we have had so many massive landslides. Okay. And these landslides have absolutely nothing to do with fracking operations. Just right outside of the city of Pittsburgh, 2 months ago, a whole entire hillside came down, wiped out houses. Just the other day, east of Pittsburgh, in the city of Greensburg, Route 30, a highway, a very busy traveled highway, literally collapsed, fell over the hillside, and wiped out 3 apartment buildings. So these landslides in our area and many, many other areas, it's starting to affect people. It's becoming very, very dangerous. Just on the morning news today here in Pittsburgh, again, they had to shut down another major thoroughfare highway because of the threat of these landslides. And they're huge. They're huge. I just witnessed one the other day. I think it was in Oregon, and a rock the size of a house literally fell off of a mountainside. And just landed in the middle of a roadway. There was somebody in a car. They were videotaping it, made its way all around the internet. And I believe in Brazil, I don't know if it was Brazil or one of the South American countries, they actually caught it on film, literally watching this rock the size of a large house way at the top and literally just rolling down and boom, right onto the highway, right onto the roadway. So I think, these, we're going to have more and more threats, just not weather related, but land related. These landslides are just, they're just absolutely incredible. And the amount of sinkholes that are opening up all over the place. I mean, it's pretty crazy. We're having our own issues here in my neck of the woods over here on the East Coast. I think these things over the course of the next 6 to 9 months, a lot of people, their eyes are going to be wide open. And then you're going to have these questions. Oh, well, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, folks, I mean, this is what we're trying to explain to you. You have a lot of people out there that do a tremendous amount of research and investigate these matters. We're not dumb people. I spend the majority of my day, Dr. Albers spends the majority of her day looking into everything that is happening on this planet. Terrell's the same way. We invest a lot of time, and if you want to talk about money, well, you're investing your own money into your investigative operation. That's a fact. If Terral charges X amount of dollars for these reports, hey, you know what? It's his time that he's investing in his operation to at least bring people up to speed on what is happening. Because I know these little trolling operations, they get in there and they call us fear mongers and, oh, you're just in this for the money. Well, look, no one's getting rich off of this, but there are expenses that do arise whenever you are trying to warn populations like we're trying to do. Am I not correct, folks? I mean, Dr. Albers, Terral.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. $2. I'm not going to get rich on $2 a month subscription. That's for sure. And then answering your questions and putting the newsletter together and then doing the website, it really is a lot of work, but that's what I signed up for. I really believe in this, that it is definitely coming. And just like the 9/11 investigation right here and this part of the website, I know Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld for the House of Rothschild. I know that they killed thousands of Americans.
Oh, yeah, those scumbags.
And they stole trillions of dollars, and they instituted the continuity of government. And one thing we haven't talked about is the Dakota report. That all your right here.
Yeah, I love that Dakota report, and I'm glad you brought that up because I know there's a lot of my listeners that probably don't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very interesting.
So I didn't mean to do it on that page, but I don't know how much more time that you want to keep sharing, but there's a ton of information. Mm-hmm. We could do this for days.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. There's so much out there, and there's so much in the past that people don't really know about. And Dr. Albers has mentioned many, many times, and you yourself have mentioned, this preparation on the government side, this has been going on, just not for a decade, folks. This has been going on for a long, long time.
Yeah, I think since the 1980s, at least.
Probably before even that we know of, but,
probably before then they started trying to figure out what was going on. Yeah.
And if we just continue to watch the false flag operations, and I'm gonna be kind of critical of what just happened over in Syria. I really don't believe that I don't believe that Syria gassed their own people. There's plenty of evidence that's coming out each and every minute on social media showing this false flag. Once again, this is reminiscent of the Bush administration with Iraq. It's just a complete mess over there. And I just recently saw an article, after the devastation in Iraq and now the American occupation over there in the Middle East. Well, what's the country turned into? Nothing but the oil giants. Exxon, BP, all of them. They're the major operations now in that sector of the world. And like I've said before, all conflicts over there have nothing to do with the freedom of religion for the people. It's all about the resources. They want those resources. They need to control those resources, and they need to control those resources for one reason, and that's for what is about to happen. Bottom line, that's my opinion. Some people may think otherwise, but they themselves, the governments themselves, have proven it, that that's what they're up to, and they will continue. And there's probably nothing that we can do to stop them.
We agree on that part. The point that I would make is currency creation. Currency creation. The Federal Reserve, Rothschild operation. Read the book None Dare Call It Conspiracy by former Congressman Gary Allen, or The Creature from Jekyll Island by Griffin. And then you'll find out who the money manipulators are. And the reason that Abraham Lincoln was killed, the reason that John F. Kennedy was killed was for the same reason. Was for currency creation in this country. The War of 1812 was fought over that. That's when House of Rothschild had to get their third charter. Their charter was up, their 20-year charter. And the reason that Saddam Hussein was killed, same reason, currency creation. Petrodollar was under threat from the 1973, the Kissinger agreement.
Yep.
Right? So then Gaddafi was coming out with a gold-based currency. Obama went over there. Well, they say NATO. No, Obama, for the House of Rothschild, did him a favor and went over there and killed his family. The rebels instituted the Rothschild-owned central bank. Now the same thing has happened in Syria. Russians have been standing in the way, and this is the only way that Rothschild can get it done. He's using Trump just like he used Obama. Trump is the other side of the coin of Obama. I'm not fooled by Trump. I was a supporter of Trump, but millions of illegals ran around it loose everywhere under Obama, and they are under Trump. They're not looking after any employers, not looking after all the people using the same Social Security numbers. They're not doing anything. There's a worker displacement agenda in the United States, and it's working. And
I agree.
So they've got to get Syria cleaned up, get the central bank installed there quickly, because they want to move on to Iran. They can't do Iran yet until they get done with Syria. It's the same. Afghanistan came first, then Iraq. Now, then Libya, now Syria, then it's going to be Iran. And then some people say North Korea. I don't think North Korea really matters because they don't have a Rothschild-owned central bank. But Iran's going to be the jewel in their crown. And I think by the time they're done with Iran, the BlackStar is going to be here, my opinion.
Yeah, I could see things escalating very, very quickly over in the Middle East. This is just a little precursor of what's going on in Syria. I think Iran's definitely going to be a bigger nut to crack than Syria, but like you said, I think that as soon as they're done with Syria, they'll be right on to Iran, no doubt.
Oh, definitely, yeah, that's the plan. But they have to get Syria out of the way, and they're going to have Russia standing, since they're on the Security Council, them and China. Then they're having trouble getting resolutions against these countries that's holding Rothschild up. But I'm sure they'll be done with Syria soon. And then all eyes. You notice it sounded so much like whenever they indicted Saddam Hussein. He's using chemical weapons. He's, weapons of mass destruction. None of that ever existed.
Yeah.
It looks like the same. They're doing the same. They're playing the same. Looks like CIA out of Denver is using the same playbook.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner. I'm really surprised they didn't do it sooner, unless they're working on a timeline. In Iran, they want the last jewel in the Rothschild crown before the BlackStar gets here. That's the only thing that I can figure on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now there were just reports coming out today that that Israel. Who are they bombing, Claudia?
Israel was bombing Iran bases in Syria.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they were attacking Iran. So Iran or Russia may now attack Israel.
And I've never, ever been a fan of Netanyahu. I can't stand to hear him speak. I don't trust him. I don't trust what he's doing over in Israel. And what, they're still fighting over that one piece of land for how long now? The Gaza Strip. How long have they been fighting over that strip of land?
I don't know. As long as Israel has been there, I think since 1948, probably. I think Netanyahu may actually have some kind of understanding with the Vatican, and that is the problem. The Vatican's the problem.
Oh, don't even get me started on the Vatican. God.
Yeah.
I think they have more money than everybody.
Yeah, basically they want Jerusalem for themselves.
Hey, what was that article that you just had up there a few seconds ago? That was the mind control.
Yeah, this is from Rebecca, the primary survival group leader, right here. She writes a lot of articles, and it's usually down the survival section, but this is really, really good. I want to try to wake people up with the top part of the newsletter, and then just more of the survival stuff's at the bottom. This is what the nanos look like inside your body.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
these are the filaments that they grow. They grow appendages. I learned about this from Billy Hayes. He was a member of my research group back in 2011 and 12. And sodium borate, the nanofilament replication inhibitor. That's your people going to want to know about that too. Just Google that. It's on my.
Well, do you want to hear something pretty interesting? I mean, I haven't shared it with. I did share it once with our followers here, but a few months ago, I started having all of these pains in my left cheekbone, right below my eye, sinus issues, but only on the left side, constant headaches, nonstop, to the point where they were almost like migraines. And I've never had anything like that in my entire life. And I kept having this really sharp pain, within my sinus cavity on my left side, and kind of below my eye, right, kind of pretty close to where your tear duct is. And I know this sounds kind of gross, but one day I decided to explore the area, and I was moving my finger around in there, and all of a sudden I felt something very, very sharp way up in my sinus cavity in the left side. And I couldn't get my finger on it. I mean, you're talking about your small nasal cavity, and it was causing tremendous amount of pain and pressure. And then all of a sudden, I was able to get it just with just a little bit of my pinky nail, and I pulled it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I have it saved. I have high definition photographs of it, and I don't know what this damn thing is. It was actually attached to a small artery inside of my nasal cavity. And I talked about it a little bit. I didn't really want to go into it a lot. But when I pulled this object out, I mean, it looks like it's biological. Dr. Albers examined it, and
Mm-hmm.
Was it silicone? Was it silicone based?
I don't know.
It's possible, actually, because it does look kind of glassy.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you know what that is? Likely.
Mm.
That sounds like you have a symptom of Morgellons disease.
Well, let me tell you something. Not only did I pull that one out, okay.
I
got another one weeks later, same area. And then just the other day, I was sitting here at my computer. Now, let me go back to what I was talking about, the first one. The minute I pulled it out, all of the pain behind my right or my left eye, all of the congestion in the left side, it disappeared instantaneously.
Because it was pushing on a nerve.
And I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you these things. You're going to be pretty freaked out because you can see the one end where it was literally attached to this small blood vessel. And you know, I got another one out of there because I started having the same symptoms again. And then, you know, a few days ago, I was sitting here at my computer and just getting some work done. And, you know, I had the same pressure, the same pain, and I was breathing kind of hard through my nose. And all of a sudden, I was leaning on my elbow on my desk, and I felt something hit my forearm. And I looked down, and in the hair of my arm, there was another one. This one free fell right out of my nose. You know, and we're not talking about snot or anything like that. We're not talking about dried boogers. You know, these freaking asshole trolls will turn this into something that it's not. But this one was shaped like a hook. And Terrell, they're hard as a rock. You can't even cut it with anything. Listen, I collect knives. I have all kinds of knives. I have knives that you can do surgery with that are that sharp. You can't cut it. And the shape of these things, the coloration, they're insane.
Yeah, and the latest one actually looked like it was semi-transparent. You can see things inside it. It definitely looked like it was at an outside layer that looked glassy, like glass.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get.
It sounds more and more. This is what you're talking about. Does it look well? This is pretty small, but
I'm gonna get to the pictures.
Your body is rejecting the nanotechnology, which happens in a percentage of the population. Some people have it very severe. It sounds like you have a mild case of it. Some people pull long strands out of their body.
Yeah.
Stuff. But if your body rejects it, then that's what happens. It's eliminating it naturally from your body. But something you might try, sodium borate. But
I'm gonna have to
do your research.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something because
we'll get some sodium borate. Then I've used sodium borate before, actually.
It's prescribed every day, but people are afraid of it. I use 3 pinches a day, every day.
I used it when I was in South Africa because I tried everything.
Yeah, here's the latest one. Hold on one second. I'm trying to find where I put those.
20 mule team borax. 99% pure sodium borate.
So you just use what, one milligram a day?
What I use is I use it right in my regular drinking water. I drink a lot of drinking water. So my first glass in the morning, and then one around noon, one in the evening, and that's it. That's my treatment for the entire day.
Oh, okay.
24 health benefits.
Yeah, I actually read about it before. That's why I tried it, because I used to try every supplement. I did a lot of research into all that supplements, because my child had cerebral palsy and the doctors couldn't help her. So I had to do my own research, read medical journals if I had to find out what to do for her. So I've tried a lot of things over the years.
Okay, boraxcures.com. If you just Google that, then you get testimonials and people use it for all kinds of things. It decalcifies the pineal gland. It's a natural antifungal. It's going to turn around a candida condition. Probably 75% of your viewers have a candida condition that can be treated. They can treat it with apple cider vinegar in combination with soda. Just a pinch, 3 pinches a day is all it takes. And then you're going to feel worse before you feel better, because you're going to be turning the fungi. See, the death cycle has already started in 75% of the population now. So you're going to turn it around, and you're going to cause the fungi to go dormant is what you're trying to do. You can't rid your body of fungi, but you can attack it and make it go dormant. And it just happens to be that sodium borate, it treats these other conditions and also eats the legs off of the nanos that are in the body. That you're receiving the nanos through chemtrailing, and that's nano components. You're breathing them in, then you're coughing them up, and swallowing them. And then in the acid environment of your stomach, they're crystallizing. On the edges of the crystal is where the filaments grow, and that's where the nanobot comes from. So they don't actually put nanobots on you. They put that in the chemtrailing. They put the components in there so that it goes into the animal kingdom, it goes into the plant life, and it goes into the human beings, and we ingest it. Then they use artificial intelligence to talk to the nanobots that are inside of you. That's what the space-based heart program is about. That changed from the analog to space-based in 2013. So AI, multi-frequencies on top of the 1.5 hertz carrier wave. So it's like broadband, multiple broadbands, and it communicates to the nanos inside of you. That's how they're killing people. Using the nanos. The NSA's been using it. That the document is in the Dropbox folder. So whenever you subscribe to the newsletter program, you don't just get newsletters. You get NSA covert operations documents that get given to me by Deacon John. He was one of my, he's an attorney. He was doing my commentary in the radio shows, member of my group. So all kinds of documents, things that you would not find. Dakota reports in there. There's only one other place to find it, the place I just showed you. So there's all kinds of information in it. There's a lot of information there on the nanos. The mystery virus that killed my team members. 2012. That's how they killed my chief astronomer. Back in 2000. That's how they killed my mother. They tried members of my family. It killed 3 members of my family. My sister-in-law, she has a clean heart. She hardly has any cholesterol, but she had 2 nodes that were forming in her heart. They couldn't explain. They had to give her a stent. 13 of my people in my research group went down at the same time, and some of them died. And the ones that did not have stents in their hearts, some of them were in the hospital up to 7 weeks. Their lungs were filling with fluid, and they were going into cardiac arrest. That's what killed my mother. That's what killed Michael Owens, my chief astronomer. That's what was killing quite a few people. So the problem wasn't Project BlackStar. That's not what they were on me about. The problem was we were exposing the nanofilament replication inhibitor, working with the Carnicom Institute, Billy Hayes, myself, the other physicists. So we were branching. We had 350 members in our research group, and we were building that contingent with the Carnicom Institute. And then AI said no more, and they absolutely shut us down. So I know this for a fact, and there's people that were my friends for years. We pretend like we don't even know each other anymore, because of what happened back then. People 25 years old, they were found unconscious, taken to the hospital. Now they have stents in their heart. Stu Noodle over in Europe, he was the European counterpart of Michael Owens. 7 weeks in the hospital, and mid-30s, having multiple heart attacks. But it was nanos. We know that it's nanos that did it. They called it a mystery virus at the time.
Yeah, that's why I haven't really talked too much about it.
Me either.
I did go, I did go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and because one person said, "Oh, those are probably polyps." Well, I know what polyps in your nasal cavity look like. My grandfather, many years before he passed away, he had a polyp in his right nostril. I know what they look like. I'm not stupid, but I have the photographs here. I put them into one file, and I haven't said too much about it because there have been some kind of mysterious things happening to me over the course of the last year. I'm going to be honest with you, Terral, and I've talked to Dr. Albers about it. I wake up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning, like clockwork, like somebody turns my freaking brain on. And when I wake up at 3 a.m., it's like 3:01, 3:02, 3:03, but within that first 5 minutes. And I am wide awake. I am wide awake like somebody turned on a light switch. My brain is on fire. And I immediately go to work. I go to work on my computer. I'm looking at everything, no pun intended, but I'm looking at everything under the sun. And this has been going on now for, more than a year. But now, over the past 6 months, I'm waking up with small burn marks small circular burn marks. Oh, I'd say, you know, oh, a little bit smaller than an eraser tip. Always one at the base of my my skull, in the back, right at my hairline. Dr. Albers took photographs of that, and I have them also on close to my armpit area, in like kind of like the crease of my shoulder by my pec muscle. 3 in a triangular pattern. Been to the doctors, went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor. He looked up my nose. He said, "I don't see anything wrong. You're okay, blah, 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 blah." So I opened up the napkin. I have it in a pill bottle. I have each one of them separated. And I said, "Well, what the hell is this?" And he said, "Well, where did you get that?" And I said, "Out of my nose." And he says, "Wow," "I've never seen anything like that before. Can I have that? I'd like to send it in for testing." I said, "Absolutely not." And he looked at me like I was kind of crazy. And I said, no, this is not leaving my my side. And we've poked and prodded these objects. They look biological, but as well as I do that, something that's biological, even 50% biological, you're going to be able to, maybe affect it. Like I said, I tried to cut it with a sharp, very laser sharp knife. Couldn't touch it. But I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you.
I think you want to talk to someone who specializes in Morgellons disease.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that it really looks that way.
Yeah, and these.
I think so. But we're going to get the sodium borax.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share these photographs with you guys, and I'm going to show you where the first one was detected. Can you see my screen, Terral?
I don't think so.
You'll have to click on my avatar.
Right here?
Yeah, so you can see it.
Okay.
You can see my screen if you go click on my avatar. You may have to stop sharing.
Okay. This is the first time I've used this program. Join Hangout?
No, not join Hangout. You're just going to stop screen sharing.
Okay, stop screen sharing. Let me see where's that button?
It should be at the top. If you go to the top of your screen and highlight up there, or you may have to go back down into your toolbar on the bottom and highlight it. You'll see a little area that with
a feeling if I hit leave, that's going to end it.
No, you don't hit leave.
Close options.
I think it's at the top.
Yeah, there'll be a little box at the top.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
Or if you go down and highlight your lower toolbar, you'll see your whatever browser you're using. Kind of hover over your browser at the bottom.
There we go.
There, you're back in the loop, baby. Okay, are you able to see my screen now?
No. Wait a minute. I don't think so.
Now you'll have to maybe go click over on my avatar over in the lower right.
Right. No, that's in the message. Okay. No, that's where we're at. Click on your.
Yeah, over in the lower right hand corner on the Google Hangout. You'll see. You should see your round avatar.
Oh no.
What are you looking at on your screen now?
It says join Hangout. Planet X, Terral, Planet X are in this call.
You may have another window open then.
Yeah, you have another window open.
Okay.
You want to go back down Let me see here.
Google Hangouts.
Okay, what do you see on your screen?
Planet X, new conversation. This is us right here, I think. In a little box thing.
There you
I
go.
think, yeah, you may have another window, another tab open where you will be able to see the screen.
Got two from what I can know.
Yeah, one of those.
Going shopping. Let's see. I think it might be on one of the other browsers. Nope. As a matter of fact,
No, should be the same.
I'm going to just close that. That's going to eliminate Hangouts.
Yeah, you don't want to do. You don't want to.
Oh, these avatars down here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm going to click on
mine.
This one.
Planet X News.
Profile. Ignore. No, I don't want to ignore you.
No, all you want to do is just click on it, and you'll see my avatar.
It says Planet X News, and I see the reverberating.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I see.
Yeah, that's fine. So you're seeing the screen then.
Now I'm going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and screen share.
Oh, okay. This is kind of like Zoom.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little more user friendly with YouTube because it's a Google product. But here's where the first object was found, where the little blue circle is, and it was attached to that angular artery.
So it's actually coming out of the skin, right?
It was up in there. Like I said, it was very sharp. It almost felt like a piece of glass.
Silicon. It's silicon based.
Well, wait till I show it to you.
I think so.
Wait till I show it to you. Once I got this was the first one. Can you see that?
It would help if you had a ruler next to it so you could tell the size. If it was a half inch or
that right there.
10 centimeters.
Yeah, what you're looking at one square
of toilet paper. And this is not something that you inhaled.
Hell no.
Because like if you're a farmer and a big wind, it's possible. So it's something that came that originated
it was
there.
So hard. It was almost as hard as a piece of metal.
I wouldn't be surprised if they said it wasn't something glass.
Yeah, I think it was
silicon
like
based.
Yes, I think it
was
silicon
check out.
based.
I'm going to share the other photographs with you because I took it at different angles.
And you may want to join a discussion group of people that have been pulling these things out of themselves. They have more jealousy.
Oh, I already have.
Okay.
I've gotten a couple of different opinions on it, and I'm going to get ones that are real clear. This is actually smaller than a grain of rice.
Okay.
I mean, you can see the red area. That's where it was attached to that angular artery. You could see the pointed end right where my cursor is. And that was the end that I was actually able to feel. And when I got this removed that day by myself, all the pressure, all the pain, and everything went away instantaneously. And it's not a polyp. When I went to the doctor, I showed him this.
No.
And, the guy's been a doctor for 35 years. When he says, wow, what is that? Do you see the perfect symmetry of this thing?
Yeah. I'm real curious to like if somebody at the Carnicom Institute looked at that, I think that they would conclude that it's Morgellons symptom.
Mm-hmm.
But usually they're going to be more longer fibers. It's not going to be something that's short. That might just be the end of it.
Look at that thing. Yeah. Look at the perfect line.
It looks like where it was embedded in the skin.
It was embedded
in that artery.
In his nose. And actually in the wall, in the lining of his nose, it was embedded in there.
And that's one square of toilet paper that this is on.
Mhm.
So, we sized it up to a grain of rice. A grain of rice is bigger than this object, and it's solid. And I just took different views of it.
You're really not going to know until you do more investigation.
Yeah, somebody has to
study.
test. Somebody
You're
has
going to know what it's made of, and then
And that's the next one that came out.
Yeah, this one here, this was attached. And this one, it's not snot. It's hard as a rock. I mean, you can't cut it.
That's going to be silicon based too, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. This one was semi-transparent, and you can see things inside it. Yeah.
It's solid as a rock, man. You see this end right over here in the lower left?
I think that's who needs to be. That's who I would send that to.
Hey, this one here, Terral, this one here freaked me out really bad. Because
you realize what this is. It's like cancer. It's like cancer of a silicon-based life form.
Yeah.
Like uncontrolled cellular replication is cancer for carbon-based life form like us. This is going to be uncontrolled replication. So in other words, the nano goes inside of you and has a plan, as a program, but it doesn't work. It's malfunctioning. So uncontrolled replication. That's what this looks like right here. But you're going to have to
have the last one.
You're going to have it tested, though. But a regular doctor's not going to help you.
Hell no. He looked at these and he said, his exact words were, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it. It looks like glass. It's solid as a rock. I could hold this and try to bend it in the middle where it was the thinnest. I tried to break it. I tried to cut it. It can't do nothing with it. It's
I hope you get it checked out.
I hope so too, man.
And then silicon borate.
Yeah, we'll get that.
Sodium borate. Well, it's just 20 multein borax is the pure stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you can go to the health food store and buy it, they'll sell you boron capsules.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people that go on the regimen, they don't want to. They have a mind problem with using something that looks like detergent. So they go to the health food store and they pay a whole bunch of money. But most of what you get there is filler.
Yeah.
Your body can only use a very, very small amount of that. It's going to go through it rapidly while you do it 3 times a day, but it only takes a pinch. I've got the same sodium borate that I've had for the last 5 years. There's no way a person could use it all up. You just use a pinch, 3 pinches a day.
Yeah. Now
I really think you should be on it.
We're going to get it. I find it interesting that you mentioned the apple cider vinegar, because every time I start to get sick and sometimes I get pains in my chest, I take apple cider vinegar and that works well for me.
Well, one good thing about sodium borate and apple cider vinegar is they have 9.3 pH. Mm-hmm. So they're going to make your blood more basic rather than acidic. Mm-hmm. So the fungi in your body works well in a acidic environment, and the bacteria works better in a basic environment. So you want to keep your pH always above 7. That's going to limit the fungi growth that's in your body.
Now this one here, this one's going to blow you away. This is the highest definition. Again, you're looking at 1 square of toilet paper. You can see the little tiny imprints, the little embossed prints on the toilet paper compared to the size of this thing. Again, this was unbreakable, uncuttable.
Did you do any? Have you had any body X-rays done?
Yeah, I just had. I thought I had a hernia. Went to the doctor. He gave me a pretty good physical, and he did a bunch of X-rays, chest X-rays. Now I haven't had any facial X-rays, but he said no. He said you don't have a hernia. Absolutely not. I didn't have no problems with my lungs, no problems with my heart. My cholesterol level was good. Everything was good. I just turned 50 and, gave me, a clean bill of health, said you could, maybe lose a few pounds.
This is different. This is a traditional doctor is not going to be able to help you.
Yeah.
Because if you have this many that you've already pulled from your body, the chances are you have more inside your body somewhere. And like it came through your cell wall, the lining in your nose, it can go through internal organs. And so you need somebody that's a specialist, a Morgellon specialist, because they're going to be looking for clusters just like this, where your doctor's, he's looking for regular things. He's not looking for silicone in your body like a Morgellons doctor's going to.
I mean,
you need to go to a specialist. And
have you ever seen anything like this?
Give you a, I have to say, not exactly. Yeah, that looks almost, that's different.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm pretty much willing to bet that it's going to be silicon based.
Hmm.
I mean, it's freaking me out a little bit, you know. I mean, there's not too many things that I'm afraid of, but you know, this when this all started, this just started like, you know, all at once. This wasn't something that progressed. It just started all at one time, and you know, I mean, it's got me a little freaked out because, I mean, come on, man, you know, you're pulling shit like this out of your body. You're wondering, okay, you know, is this being transplanted into me some way? You know, I've never been.
I don't think so. It's growing from the inside. It's growing from a nano size.
Yeah.
Extremely small size.
Well, check this. Check this.
But it's uncontrolled replication. That's the thing. So it needs AI to tell it, or it has to be pre-programmed to grow to a certain diameter. But whenever you take away those controls, then it grows uncontrollably. And that's looks like uncontrolled nanofilament growth right there. It's not even a strand. It's grown into just like a cancerous body.
Yeah, it's hard as a rock, dude. I mean, it is indestructible. I tried. With this one here, I tried to smash it.
But if we were silicone-based life forms, this is the type of thing that would be a disease for us. I think that's what it is.
Mm.
And they're so small. I mean, look at that. I mean, again, look at one of the little dimples on one sheet of toilet paper compared to the size of that thing and the shape. I mean, come on, that's a perfect triangular shape right there. You know, that's a little freaky.
So the concern now is not for the ones that you got out already.
I know, right?
It's for the ones that you don't know you have yet. And those type of things would be detectable through x-rays when you have a technician doing it that is experienced in searching for nanofilaments.
Yeah, I have them all saved. They're all segregated. They're not together, you know, because I was thinking, oh, shit, you know, if these things are some type of nanotechnology, well, damn, I don't want to put them all together, you know, and have them feeding off of each other like a little radio antenna.
No, no, that's not how it works. The silicon fibers inside that work with the nanos, they are appendages. So they're going to allow it like a tick. Just imagine the nanobot is like a tick.
Yeah.
And these arms are antennae for communication and they're appendages for locomotion. That's not what you're looking at here. This is uncontrolled replication. So it's whenever your body rejects the nanos, when it rejects the silicon, then this type of thing right here happens, which happens in the percentage of the population that have Morgellons disease. So you have a form of it. From what I can tell right here, you have a form of it. And my concern not at all is for what you found, because it's good. It's good that you found it. Now this is a symptom. Now you need to go inside and find what else is in there, because you could have you could have a large mass of this stuff inside and you don't even know it.
Mm.
All right. And your body's going to try to excrete it. It's going to try to move it right through your body. So for example, I used to work with Dr. Shibley in my laboratory, and he worked all over Africa, India, and everywhere else. He told me stories about people that had parts of a baby that had died inside of them. If they couldn't pass it, bones coming out of their body, because the body will get rid of it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in time. So
yeah,
it's definitely odd.
It's good that you found it, but now we need to find the other ones, get those out of you.
Yeah,
it's definitely odd. And you know, people have told me over and over, oh, you know, why don't you get those tested? Why don't you send them to a lab? I don't want them out of my possession, because I don't, you know, I mean, you know, I've just developed this deep untrust of anybody, and I want to know what they are. So, I mean, I would actually have to be in the lab with somebody, while they're doing the testing, because
I think the more jealous people will be at the Carnicom Institute, for example. That's just one of them. They're going to be more insightful, and they're going to be more helpful, and they're going to be more respectful, because there are so many unknowns for the patient. It's not like coming in with a cold or something.
yeah, exactly.
They've gone through it before. I think that's the people that are going to they're going to work with you on that. And if they take anything from you, then they'll be making agreements with you to make sure that you get everything back.
Yeah, and I haven't been sick. I haven't had no colds, no flu. I don't get any vaccinations, no flu shots. I mean, Dr. Albers, she's a vegetarian, a vegan. She takes very, very good care of herself. I mean, besides a few vices that I have, I've gone through the last year completely fine, completely healthy. No issues, no colds, no flu, no nothing. And then, all of a sudden, these things are popping up, and these small burn marks on me, because that's what they feel like. They feel like somebody burnt me with a match.
It sounds like a nerve reaction.
Yeah. And I get them in little triangular patterns. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
You know, when you get a pinched nerve, sometimes it feels like electricity.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's going to be this very similar situation. So you've got that concerns me a little bit. But if you catch it ahead of time, they can just take them out of you.
Yeah, I mean, now I check daily, but I know the symptom. As soon as I start getting that headache, which will last for days and days, and it will only be behind my left eye. So, that's kind of got me wondering, why is it only on this left side? It's never on the right side. It's always the left side. And the minute I get it to come out, all of the symptoms instantaneously disappear. The headache, the pain under my eye, the feeling that something is swollen, it goes away instantaneously. Now, the last one that came out, I immediately called Dr. Albers, and I was like, wow, another one just came out of me. And she knows that I'm complaining about the headaches and the lack of being able to breathe on that one side. Like, it almost feels like your allergies are acting up. But like I said, I've been to a doctor. He's, given me the full scale, run of the mill. Okay, you're fine. I've looked up your nose. Whatever that object is in that napkin, I don't know what the hell it is. So I think I'm going to touch base with a few of those groups that you're mentioning.
Yep.
And I'm going to see what they have to say. This one here really freaks me out. This one reminds me of oh shit. What's that amber stuff that they find fossils in? I forget what that stuff's called, but it's solid.
Yeah.
It's almost like a resin.
Yep.
And
it's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I like you'll find bees and insects embedded in it. I forget what that's called.
Amber.
Yeah, amber. I think it's what it's called, or something like that.
Yeah, that's glass basically.
Yeah, and it's like it's like indestructible, man.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I slammed the bottom of a glass on top of this thing on my counter, and it did nothing. I tried to cut it. Nothing.
Well, stop messing with it and take it to somebody. The concern for me is where you're having symptoms is up in your head, and then you have the space between your sinuses and your brain, and the symptoms that you're talking about is pressure on a brain, on a nerve, and you can have another one up there, and it can be putting pressure on something else on a different nerve, and it can be giving you different symptoms.
Yeah.
So you want to get it out when it's that size, and not when it gets to be big as,
like a golf ball.
Yeah. And it causes severe problems. So that the earlier you catch that, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely got me wondering. I think tomorrow I'm gonna touch base with some of these folks. If you have any information on them, if you could email it to me, save me a little bit of trouble. searching for the...
I would just start with the Carnicom, just the way it sounds. CARN
Okay.
Institute.
Yeah. I'm because I've looked into Morgellons before. I've researched it pretty heavily, and when I didn't see the strands and the fibers,
Right.
kind of threw me off a little bit. So
Yours is not typical.
yeah, figures, huh?
Yeah, that's different. That's different than anything I've seen. I've seen these filaments. They didn't look like that. But that it's hard. It looks like a rock. It's sounding silicon. So uncontrolled replication. Filament replication is what it looks like to me.
Yeah, it definitely has me a little worried, but we'll see. You know, if I pop up with something and some results, I'll share them with you. I'll definitely let you know. But we're going to go ahead and cut our broadcast here. And Dr. Albers, did you have anything that you wanted to toss in?
No, I think we've touched on everything we needed to touch, Scott.
Okay. Well, you've got my email address if you want to get my views on anything that's shaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy to share with you anytime.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you. That was very interesting, Terral.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. For folks, anybody just joining in a little while ago, I'll put Terrell's information and the link to his YouTube channel in the description box under the video. And anybody that views it after the live stream is over, the information will be there. I'll share some of Terrell's information on our Facebook page. That way you guys have instant access to it. Here's the bottom line, folks. We're always going to have people that have different points of view on different subject matters. But the fact of the matter is that, you have a lot of very smart, educated, and determined people looking into matters that are affecting our planet, our solar system. All of that eventually affects your life. And that's very important. None of us are fear mongers because we're not sitting here telling you the world's going to come to an end tomorrow or the next day. I feel it's more of an educational plan that we've all entered into. Terral can walk away from his investigations and his research at any time. The same applies for Dr. Albers and I. We could walk away and that's it. But we choose to stay right here and continue to voice our concerns and share the information with each and every one of you. And all of you need to continue to share that information so we have that domino effect and we create that network. And I think over the last couple of years, this network of information has expanded, even with the things that social media has done against all of us by trying to stop us. So we will continue. Terrell, I thank you very much, my friend, for joining in with us today, sharing your information. Dr. Albers, same goes for you. And Terrell, if I get any information back on these little objects, I'll definitely share it with you for sure.
Thank you very much.
All right, you got it, my man. You take care. Be safe. Dr. Albers, same goes with you. Everybody, thank you very much for joining us here on this this early Sunday evening. And stay tuned. Stay tuned to Terral BlackStar, Dr. Albers' channel, and Planet X News. You take care. Terrell, we'll see you soon.